I'm glad to hear this because, in a way, I was a bit biased in my perception, in the sense that it was more towards the technological side, more sort of digital agenda and so forth. But which, of course, is important, is very relevant, and it is included. But because my own work is very much more towards the economic, the new economic culture that is emerging. Actually, economic culture is what I would say is what I've been working more on recently. But the broader topic within which I move with a large international community is mostly knowledge cities and knowledge-based development, which is quite very much the same field, also at a different level of analysis. So it's less micro analysis and is more onto the wider, what we call capital systems, which is basically how value elements sustain or not the viability of a country or a city or a region. So it's how these value elements, be financial, social, cultural, environmental, and so forth, are in balance so as to provide sustainability and long-term viability. So this is basically what we work on. Actually, I have a number of hats. The most prominent one in this regard is the World Capital Institute. This is an organization that has been running on for about from the end of the century, last century, so it's about the last 15 years. And this is what mostly was originated with the aim to try and establish the relative value contribution of major entities in the world. So big corporations, big governments, and big organizations, United Nations, World Bank, whatever. So how each of these has a capital account in terms of the positive and negative contributions it provides. So that was the original idea. It actually has moved more, it proved to more effective to move more towards the knowledge level, the knowledge city level of analysis. And so we have been holding an award to most admired knowledge cities that we have. In fact, we just finished the annual exercise and we present these awards on our annual Knowledge Cities World Summit. Actually, we just held it a few days ago in Korea, in South Korea. And we move globally as we every year to do these two exercises, the Knowledge Cities Summit and the Knowledge Cities Award. And around that we have a number of developments. We have an editorial program including the International Journal of Knowledge-Based Development and a book series, and around that a number of initiatives to support governments, mostly city governments, and research exercises and so forth. So this is the main stand from which I see the connection with the conference. And very particularly, I was very happy to hear from you now this focus on the shift in economics. Because my contribution, particularly over the very last 5 years or so, has been on knowledge markets. These are basically these new forms of organization, which are not actually described by current literature on organizational structure, because they are usually leaderless, they are self-organized, and so they have a number of characteristics that are proving extremely efficient and adaptable to identify and mobilize available capital locally.
For instance?
It may be yes, for example, the sharing economy is one of those examples. They can be technology intensive, say like Uber, for example, with a very powerful platform, or like Bitcoin or so, which are very, very intensive technologically, but that they are disrupting the channels because they are moving without intermediaries. They are connecting end to end, user to user or society to crowd dealing and so forth. So basically, they are redefining or bringing back some traditional forms of exchange, which were part of very, very ancient economies.
Yeah.
But they are now being kind of rediscovered by economic anthropologists, and they are being brought back, mixed with new technology, but above all, with new economic social values. This is what is the whole purpose of it, and how people are engaged, and what are the terms of engagement. So basically, I have been putting together these cases of what people are actually doing in ways that are not explained in traditional business and organizational models. Another characteristic, for example, is that the traditional dichotomy between profit and non-for-profit and so forth is totally disrupted again, because there is a continuum now where people can be working to earn a living while doing something purposeful for their lives. So all these kind of organizations, their attributes, their operational modes and so forth, this is what I've been putting together under this broader label. Well, there are a number of people working on it, of knowledge market, but it's a fascinating emerging topic.
Exactly. And the shift is all and everywhere. This paradigm shift is to be seen either in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in the US, in Australia, everywhere in the world. It's a world movement right now.
And so, in a way, my interest is to try and find what's the underlying mechanisms that are making this experience. Because, of course, some of these are very successful and some of these fail. So what do those that are successful have in common? And what can be learned in terms of the underlying process and organizational design so as to make them viable?
And do you have already some hints about what is working, why it is working or not?
Yes, well, yes. To be first, we started typifying the field, and we developed a taxonomy of knowledge markets with 12 categories, which go for the most traditional, intellectual capital markets, to the most advanced that are only beginning to be grasped, which social swarming, for example, these kind of spontaneous forms of coordination that have no evident or apparent terms of organization and leadership and so forth, but they're extremely efficient in mobilizing large groups of individuals to achieving a common purpose. So first, it was working on this, and of course, substantiating this with attributes and lots of examples worldwide. Again, some of these are technology intensive, but some of these are extremely rudimentary in terms of, for example, digital content, but extremely efficient, like for example, the food distribution system in India, in Mumbai, which is a world case. Yes, is fascinating, and so lots of in Africa now there are emerging lots of examples with mobile phones. Thanks to this technology, people are finding very, very creative ways of making the most of scarce resources. So, on the one hand, we have this. And more recently, I have been working on the analytic framework in terms of trying to find and formalize a market structure for these knowledge markets with the underlying value system, with the functional mechanisms, with organizational structures, and so forth. So, yes, we are moving ahead, and it's extremely stimulating. And I have had the opportunity of, it proves to be a fairly popular and well-received topic, because it really nurtures optimism, because you can see how is something that is happening. we are rushing after practice. So it's not that the models were first conceived and then trying to be applied.
The
It's that
reverse.
we are trying to make sense of what is happening
is
all
happening.
over the place. And it's interesting again because not only because of the efficiency and the innovativeness of these models, but also because they seem to share a different value, a different ethos, a different economic culture, a different sense of purpose of community and terms of engagement.
Yes.
So it's this whole package of economic culture is the realization of a new economic culture coming from bottom up.
Yeah.